when reactions to a problem are worse than the original problem itself. I was chatting to a CEO recently. They had a major security breach. And he'd had to get involved, not only because of the breach, but also because of the reaction the organisation had to that. Immediately, a culture of blame was started. Everybody was trying to blame somebody else for it happening. They were blaming vendors. They were blaming partners. They had a large conference call with almost 30 of them and a small vendor that they were working with. Absolutely annoyed this vendor so much that that vendor was very, very reluctant to help support them any further. They were working with another partner who was again building technology for them. They had a conference call again looking for blame with that partner, asking lots of questions about that partner and things that they really should have been checking and done early on. So much so that, again, that partner was finding it very, very difficult to work with the organisation. So the CEO had to get involved, not because of the original data breach, but because of the reaction to it right there and then. People's reactions to that data breach meant that partners were not willing to work with them, that they were not getting to the root of the problem, and most importantly, they weren't solving that and coming to some sort of resolution. So the CEO gets involved, and of course, that heightens emotions even more. If the CEO is in the room, then people are doubly emotional. The amygdala starts to activate. There's fight, flight, and then there's freeze. And he saw all of these things. And in that sort of situation, those three responses are not what you need to be happening, right? Fighting, you don't need to be blaming somebody else for it. Flighting, you don't need to be running away from this. And you certainly don't need to be freezing and doing nothing. So the role of the leader in those sorts of situations is to calm the situation down, to remove emotion from this, to remove blame. There's time for understanding what happened later, but not the time when you're in the middle of a crisis like this. Removing and stopping that emotion can help you come to a much better resolution. You start to be able to build a plan, you start to think more logically, you stop worrying and start really using different parts of your brain to get to a resolution. And it's a very, very simple exercise that a CEO can do. The first thing they've got to realise is, number one, they can already emotionally charge a situation just by being added to it by themselves. Just by walking into a room, people's behaviours will change. But their role is to calm people down, is to help them understand what they need to do next, to help them get to a situation, to a place where they can make the right decision, the right call, and to know what to do. In the case of the organisation I'm talking about here, it cost them 4 or 5 days while they were trying to blame partners and suppliers for this data breach. 5 days where they weren't dealing with that problem, where they weren't closing the doors that had been opened, where they weren't dealing with the inevitable media backlash that's going to come from some of this stuff, waiting around for the problem to be dealt with and blamed on somebody else rather than actually dealing with it and fixing it itself. One of the biggest challenges you can have as a leader, of course you can deal with problems, that's fine, that's a very logical way to be able to do things. The biggest challenge you're going to face is dealing with people's emotions, and when people's emotions and reactions to a problem become a much greater problem than the problem itself. If you'd like to learn more about how I work with CEOs, do drop me a line. Otherwise, I've got lots more videos like this that will help you to understand and to become a better leader yourself.